So production shuts down on The Nevers and everything else people are creating in the world, sadly. Oh, so will this affect its 2021 release date? Maybe, maybe not. I just want to remind you listeners to keep an eye out on our website and our blog pieces, because there will be thoughts and feelings and speculations there about exactly when in 2021 The Nevers will be released.
Second up, speaking of things that have been cancelled because of COVID-19, San Diego Comic-Con 2020. And if the show does happen, what are the chances of there being a teaser trailer for The Nevers? Considering they've got the first 2 episodes wrapped and not much else to do with their time, I would say chances are pretty high.
I hope so.
So speaking of other news that we recently interviewed Timo Pennicott from Dollhouse, and it was an amazing interview. He was so insightful, so intelligent, so sweet, an amazing storyteller, obviously. And there's a lot of amazing highlights. A personal one that I have is I asked him about the audition process for Dollhouse, and I can't wait for you listeners to hear what he had to say, because he had to say a lot of cool things about Joss and Eliza. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear that. I have so many thoughts about San Diego Comic-Con. I have tickets, and I'm curious if they do cancel it, if they're going to just refund everyone, or if our tickets are going to go on to next year's show. Or I kind of wish, and I just thought about this right now, I kind of wish they would postpone it till a little bit later this year instead of it being canceled. And I'm crazy when I go to Comic-Con. I camp out for 2 or 3 days to go to Hall H, which is the big room where all the big TV shows and movies are announced. So I would have been first row if there's an HBO panel. So
I mean, I saw an article the other day saying that I believe this month, April 2020, is the first month for 20 or 30 years where there has not been a single convention anywhere in the world. And while that is, that's a sad statistic, it's not as sad as the statistic of everyone in June being dead. Because even at the best of times, a con is like a petri dish for disgustingness. I mean, PAX Pox at PAX is an ongoing joke. So I think it would be the wise thing for them to push, while I obviously want to see the big panels and the releases, I think they would be wise to maybe push it back to late July, early August, when hopefully things are a little bit safer.
I was just going to say, when this all started for us here in the UK around, sort of mid-March sort of thing, I had quite a few tickets to go and see quite a few bands around that time. And literally every single one of them has just said, we'll give you a new date. We'll give you a new date. And I would think it's a sensible approach, really, isn't it? Because, just move things on, push it all to the future. You can always rearrange it again if you have to. Just, give everyone something to look forward to. I think I would love to go to San Diego Comic-Con. If anybody wants to buy me a ticket, I'll be there. I'll go in June. I don't care. I'll be there. But there we go.
The other option, of course, is to do what a number of places have done, which is to take it online. But I feel like that kind of diminishes the event of it all. But they could put the panels, stream them instead of having them in person.
And what do you guys, Kelly and Tyke, what do you think are expectations for the interview versus reality? I mean, I know us three were kind of freaking out beforehand because we were really excited, but also nervous. Yeah, so I was super nervous. What about you two?
I wasn't nervous, which I was really intrigued because I've met him before. He's a very sweet man. I did not expect him to be as chatty as he is, and so many stories. He's just a straight up storyteller, straight up professional. And, we talked to him for about 2.5 hours, and he was so fantastic. I mean, there might have been a little bit of overlap with some of the questions, like our questions and listener questions, but we wanted to make sure that our listeners had their questions asked. But he just all took it in stride. And I guess the other portion of it, maybe it's just, I think it's the time. Like if we would have done this 6 months ago or 6 months later, it might not have been so serious, but you know, there were times we wanted it to be kind of like fun and light, you know, and everybody have a good time. But right now, you know, it's a really serious, crazy time to be alive. And so he just had a lot of poignant, insightful, serious things to say and to talk about. And I think he was just a really genuine, lovely person. So that overall was my, I was unexpecting of that. So, but I still really enjoyed it. He's a sweet, handsome, talented man.
I've got to say, I was absolutely terrified going in. I had no idea what to expect. And then literally within 5 minutes, I was calm again. Like, he is just the kindest, nicest dude I've ever spoken to. Such a great guy. And as you said, like, a born entertainer. Like, we would ask him sort of relatively simple questions and he would just spin these amazing stories, kind of taking elements from his life and everything, and give these like 15-minute answers to 3-word questions. But we were all just sitting there completely wrapped. Like, it's a 2.5 hour interview of which about 40 minutes is us three and the rest is just these amazing stories from Tamo. I really can't wait for our audience to hear it. It's a real treat.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And again, it's just really cool to hear from someone that worked with Joss and someone that worked in Dollhouse, because I feel like, again, Dollhouse is such an underrated show that a lot more fans should pay attention to and rewatch. So can't wait for you guys to listen to that. And the last bit of news we have is Joss Whedon shared some of his comfort watches and some of his comfort sequels on Twitter. So some of his comfort watches include Shaun of the Dead, which is hilarious. It's a comfort watch. Because I still kind of think it's a little scary, obviously hilarious too. The American President, Remains of the Day, Little Women, the Gillian Armstrong version. He hasn't seen the Gerwig yet. I have not seen the Gillian Armstrong version, but the Gerwig version is amazing. And Bull Durham. So those are his comfort watches. And his comfort sequels is Frozen 2. Yes, Joss. 28 Weeks Later.
Yes, Joss.
Dawn of the Dead, Romero. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
And Thor Ragnarok. Yay.
Oh my God.
I know Joss obviously he loves Thor Ragnarok, but I was lucky enough to see him speak at USC. He was doing a Q&A of the Avengers with Kevin Feige, which was like unreal, and this was probably 2 years ago. So he was talking about how much he loved Thor Ragnarok, and he's like, Kevin, I can't believe you actually let Taika Waititi make a Taika Waititi film. Like, it was like all the way Taika, and they were laughing about it. But yeah, so this is a great list, Joss Whedon.
I would agree with all of them. I would think there's some great picks.
But I have to wonder if his appreciation for Shaun of the Dead had anything to do with him casting Nick Frost on The Nevers.
Ooh.
Oh.
See, I'm looking forward to The Nevers even more now.
Yeah, I've got to say, the cast is amazing. Like, there's a lot of really fantastic people. And after you finish Dollhouse, you'll be even more excited because Olivia Williams is a prominent role in both series. But when I saw that first casting and saw Nick Frost, I was like, yes, I am 1,000% in for this show. I need more Nick Frost.